Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the world's first turbo LS Fox body. No, we're not. But we're getting down towards the end of this project, and we're really starting to run into things that maybe weren't planned for from the beginning. But the big problem I'm trying to solve today is I don't have anywhere to put an alternator. I chose to run this electric water pump, which really cuts off running any belt above, basically the center line of the crankshaft. I don't know, there's not really a good way to see in here what I got going on. But yeah, we're really limited on where to put an alternator. Around at a few different ways of doing things. I've thought about putting my alternator over here on the passenger side and mounting it backwards because I got a little open spot here. But then there's no real good way to mount the alternator, and the only way to mount it would be off my frame rail, which I know I'm motor plated and the motor isn't going to move, but I just still don't feel like it's a good idea to mount my alternator separate from my motor. So I've arrived at over here next to the turbo. I think I've got a little room over here. I definitely would have to notch my motor plate here, but I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna climb under here and kind of look at the scenario and try to get some camera shots under there. It's really tight quarters. I'm in this massive garage here, and I just don't have a lot of room to do work. I don't have a car lift. Anyways, we're gonna climb under there and see what we can come up with. So I think I might be onto something. I don't know if it's gonna work, but you gotta try things and find out if they're gonna work or not. So I'm digging out my ICT alternator bracket kit, which I bought for the exact job I'm doing right now. But I'm definitely not gonna be using it the way that ICT billet intended. But anyways, we're gonna get into the box here. We got these brackets, not gonna use them, but what we are gonna use is these spacers. These will go great to my motor plate. And I am gonna have to use this tensioner, I believe. So as I was saying, there's just not a lot of room to work here, but I think I got a clear shot at trying to do something somewhere right about in here. I don't know, I'm probably gonna have to notch this motor plate some amount, I don't know, but I'm not too worried about getting this too far up or too close to the crank because I do still need to have a belt tensioner. So I'm gonna probably just go to a time lapse as I sit here and cuss and yell and, you know, do what I do. So anyways, that's the scenario. And I've got those spacers that work about right. I think I'm gonna have to trim a 1/4 inch off of them because I got a 1/4 inch motor plate. And then he goes back there. If you can see here, I've got this little piece of flat bar clamped to the front of my balancer, kind of get me an idea of what's in line. So I don't know how well this is coming in, but anyways, we're getting somewhere. I'm gonna poke a hole through that mid plate, at least get one bolt in this thing. I'm just gonna lay here. At least get one bolt in that alternator so I'm not just completely holding things up in the air and guessing. We made some headway. I think I've got a solution for this alternator and it's gonna work. What I'm seeing though is where these where my tensioner goes, those bolts and that shear, that long lever there, that's not gonna work. I'm probably gonna brace at least one of those spacer tubes. Luckily for me, they're aluminum, just like the motor plate is. So I'll cut some kind of like triangle gusset there. And yeah, I think we're doing good here. I'm gonna have to obviously build some kind of bracket over here to come from this alternator mount up to the motor plate, which is easy. I think I can return this manual water pump that I thought I was gonna have to use, because I really didn't think there was any room for this, get this glare out of here. I really didn't think there was any room for the electric water pump, but turns out we're making it work. More of that, what do they call it? 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. Yep, we're making it work. Well, obviously my mount isn't done, but Napa is gonna close soon because it's Sunday and they close soon. So I'm gonna use this ratchet strap here, at least get me a rough idea of how long a belt I need. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna get it right first try, but at least if we get in the neighborhood of the length that I need, I'll have a better shot at getting what I actually need a lot sooner than just trying to guess here. So that'll do the trick right about there. I'll measure how long this guy is. Boom, that's actually a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be. All right, off to Napa. That'll be nice to get the $200 I spent on that water pump back. So anyways, we'll be back with you in a bit. So what I've got going here now is I gotta build something to go from here up to the motor plate. I decided against going here from here to from the alternator up to the frame rail. I know they're all rigid bolted together, but I just think it'd be a lot cleaner and neater if I kept this bracket going to the motor plate. So I'm gonna keep with the trend, keep it aluminum. And anyways, I already drilled a hole here. I'm gonna drill a hole, I'm gonna get that guy bolted on there and then figure out how to connect the dots from the bracket here up to here. I believe I'm gonna make this a bolt-on deal because the rest of it's bolt-on. So anyways, now we're gonna go through the process of turning this little guy and do a whole bracket. All right, well, we got our bracket built. I already did most of the welding. I'm just gonna wrap these corners up and we'll have most of a bracket here. There you go. I'm sure that I'll do something to stiffen this up. I don't know. We'll see how it looks when we get the thing put back in the car. But for now, we gotta let this cool down. Well, I've just about got this thing mounted. Now, I got my bracket welded the other day and well, we took a couple day break and we're back. So, got this guy on here. What I'm finding with the way my bracket's mounted is the further down I go, the shorter my belt gets. It's hard to see from the angle that the camera's at, but as I go up, this actually, being that the pivot's above here, this pulley gets further away from the crank. I don't know, I mean, I guess long belt, short belt doesn't really matter, but I would like to have a slightly longer belt. About as far as I can go. And try again with the Sharpie.
The older I get, the more this up and down really sucks. I gotta find me a car lift one of these days.
So I've got the alternator roughly mounted. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to build gussets or stiffeners for some of these tube stanchions you've seen me using down here, because it's all in single shear and really long levers. I think that we're gonna have a lot of play and lots of RPM and torque, and yeah, I think I'm gonna have to brace my brackets up. But right now, we're gonna see if the belt I got works. You saw me earlier use a ratchet strap to just get a rough idea of the length. I went to Napa and he didn't have the exact length. He had one that was about 7/8 different. All right, see how lucky I got. That is extremely tight to my intercooler tubing. I might have to notch my lower charge pipe. Yep, this belt's too long. Dang it. Dang it. Bring you down here with me and get real personal. So, we can see if I pull my belt tight, it's hard to tell what we got here. But yeah, that belt is just touching. Like, it would turn, it would make noise, it would wear the belt out in a hurry. But it is what it is. We have an alternator mount. It's pretty neat. More of that 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. I don't know, I might have to dial this in a little more. I might wait till it runs before I stiffen this stuff. Make sure everything's in line like I want. It appears like everything's in line. But, well, yeah, that alternator moves, but I guess the alternator is just all finger tight. I'm gonna call that done. I'm gonna call that a win. I'm gonna have to pull off this lower charge pipe. I'm definitely gonna have to take a bit of a notch out of this guy, not much. So here's roughly what I was able to mark out underneath the car. I'm gonna start by just taking a cutoff wheel or grinder, or I'm not sure. I am sure, it's gonna be a grinder. I'm gonna cut this guy out. I'm gonna go set this lower charge pipe back in the hole, make sure we got plenty clearance. Then I'll pull this guy back out. I will fit a piece of like 1/8 inch plate or whatever the thinnest thing I have is to fill this hole. Install it again, make sure the flat plate that I put in this hole I'm cutting still clears the belt with a little room to go, and boom, this will be done. Can't call the alternator mount done, but so here we go. I've got kind of a teardrop shape going. It's kind of weird because I'm coming around in a bend from the inside to the outside here. So this is gonna be kind of a tricky piece. I'm gonna set this inside the charge pipe slightly. I might have to 3-piece this. I'm planning on just cutting another piece here, 2-piecing it, but I don't know if that's gonna work. So I'm gonna get the TIG welder out. I'm gonna tack this guy in place. Well, there's my kind of high cut mess. It's is a fairly smooth transition on the inside on the lead-in edge here. It's not perfect, but trying to keep it smooth as possible. But really, it's a turbo car. It's gonna shove air through here. It like lots of pressure, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, in a perfect world, it would be, but we're not living in a perfect world. And I need this car to charge more than I need perfect efficiency. All right, we're gonna light off and get going. And I'm gonna say, I'll let the cussing begin. Because this exhaust pipe, or this intercooler pipe, is pretty miserable to weld. Not all that clean. My prep job isn't all that clean, but I'm not cleaning it up anymore. Because then this would be even harder to weld, or even harder to make new pieces. Well, it's been a bit of a challenge to find a short enough belt for the setup I have. And we're on the second one, and they've had to be ordered both times. So now we've got a 37 5/8 6-rib serpentine belt. We'll see how that goes. Also, I've added, well, I didn't add, I just had to extend my turbo drain hose. So that's added a bit of a hurdle, or another obstacle, another thing in the way here for getting all this right. And I'm seeing that I relieved my lower charge pipe, and it is friggin' tight to get this belt in and out. More of that 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag deal. Ugh. There, I mean, it clears fine when it's on, but doesn't make installing and uninstalling it very nice. Well, see if this belt is good or no good. Deal or no deal. Brought my wrench with me. I hope it's the right size wrench. Oh boy. I don't think it's the right size belt. Damn it, dude. Damn it. Man, damn it. So I guess, God, I'm gonna go through another different belt size. Well, and there's pretty much the finished product for what I came up with. Got a custom fabricated little bracket there. I've got these little aluminum bosses. Again, like I said, we'll stiffen these up once I can run this thing and make sure everything's in line like I want. That's pretty much wraps up that part of the project, kind of running you through the little things we run into when we're trying to make race cars that are somewhat roadworthy. And in the next episode, we're gonna start working on my least favorite thing in the world. But we're really starting to get close to the end here. We're gonna be putting on the Terminator X. And you know what that means? That means it's about time to fire. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.